The first time I heard a rock and roll radio station and the first time I heard a disc jockey talking over the intros of songs, I was 10 going on 11, and the station was WNOE out of New Orleans, Louisiana. I had heard a little bit of rock and roll at that time, but the local station in town played rock and roll from 4:30 until they signed off, which in the wintertime was about an hour and a half. And the disc jockey, if you could call him that, sounded like Great Uncle Fred, and it was not exciting. And he didn't have the best rock and roll records to play anyway. I mean, I could just feel there's more to it than this. I mean, but then I heard WNOE. And you could only get them at night, a long-distance signal, and the disc jockey was talking over all the intros of the songs. It was like, I had not heard that before, but it's like it added a sense of immediacy to what I was hearing. It was like there was so much exciting going on in this radio station. It was like there was so much exciting stuff going on that he had to pack into the hour that he didn't have time to just stop and just talk. He had to keep the music going and talk over that music. And 3 years later, I heard Dick Biondi, the superstar disc jockey of WLS out of Chicago, another late-night big signal radio station. Biondi was talking over the intros of the records, and this guy was having more fun than anybody I had ever heard before. And then at age 16, I became a disc jockey, and I got to talk over the records, and it was such fun. It was all the time that I was on the air. I enjoyed it. Now, the thing was, you wanted to talk over the intro up to the point of the singer. You wanted to hit the post. Now, that meant you don't step on the vocal. You've already said your complete sentence and ended the fraction of a second before the guy starts singing. But I don't think you should try to hit the post every time. Then it becomes a little self-indulgent beyond 10 seconds or maybe 15 seconds. It's wiggled room. Okay, take the Rolling Stones Satisfaction. It's got a 14-second intro before Mick starts to sing. There's a good place for you to stop at the 7-second mark and at the 10-second mark, and then that would give the listener a little more of Keith Richards' guitar before Mick kicks in. And a song with a killer intro like that, if it's on your playlist, then certainly sometimes, maybe half the time that you play it, you ought to give the listener the entire intro, so he can rock out to that guitar riff from Keith Richards circa 1965 the way it's supposed to be rocked out to. Now I'm going to tell you how it can go bad. When you rip a new song into your automation system, you can set that song in the professional systems, whether that song is going to allow an overdub or not, whether a voice track, an intro, a voice track can lay over the intro of that particular song. And the song may have a 17 or a 20 or a longer intro. You got to think, how much talk on that thing are you going to allow? Here's the worst thing I ever heard in this case. I was driving into Austin, Texas, not all that long ago, and I'm listening to one of the big market, big owner radio stations, and it's totally voice tracked. They do very well, with voice tracking. I mean, the young lady on the air sounds like she's right there in Austin, other than the fact that she never says Austin, Texas all that much. That's a different subject, though. Anyway, she starts talking, and then in the background comes the intro to the classic Take On Me by a-ha. The first time you heard that record, it grabbed you. The introduction to Take On Me is one of the great intros to a pop record of all time. It just grabs the imagination as it starts. Now, the thing is 34 seconds long. From the first note till the first voice, 34 seconds. And this canned voice track from a nice-sounding lady started talking and hit the post on Take On Me. It just irritated me to no end. It's a rookie mistake or an oversight. The audio file had 34 seconds as the intro. The automation system was set to allow oversweeps or voice tracks to lay over the introductions of songs, and there you go. And there is something I think you ought to give a little consideration to when you're putting music on the radio. Keep it smooth.